Hello everybody and welcome to Game 3 between YerAnd and Blues in this 1v1 championship match. Blues has both games, so this is a do-or-die situation for YerAnd this game, and I'm Philophanic with my co-host Terra Incognita.
Yep, hi everyone. So, lots of water on this map.
Very
and
little
also,
silicon, and it's a glass colony.
Also a glass colony with 3 silicon tiles, all of them super awkward in the south. So this is going to be fun. I wonder if somebody will go for a silicon monopoly of some description.
If I'm YerAnd right now, I'm considering it because I do want to win this game if I can last long enough.
Yeah, instead he goes scavenger in the crater, which is an interesting move, and maybe trying to get close to that silicon. Maybe that was the trade-off that he made. This scientist spot is interesting though from Blues. Going to try and make it work with just the 2 iron adjacent to his base. The early skirmishes mean that YerAnd bought a whole bunch of aluminum that he's going to try and hold on to until Blues has to buy his as well. But Blues is just going to make food.
Yeah, Blues is going to sit here and make food, going and claiming this one low aluminum, which was the other odd thing about this map. No real aluminum either.
Yeah, they're all low, aren't they? And
no real iron either. This is
all at awkward positions, and the nuke comes down, and you got to watch for that as the scavenger onto the carbon. So that's gonna hurt YerAnd a lot. He's basically down to 2 carbon tiles, and they're both lows. So yeah, difficult situation for him to deal with.
YerAnd does go claim that high silicon tile, which leaves him in a situation where he has too many tiles to defend and not enough goon squads.
Yep, absolutely. So we might well see some more nukes raining down on that very soon. He's in a good position to get into that glass market though, and glass is profitable right now because oxygen is so low. So I wonder when we're going to see that. I would imagine his plan of action is to get a hacker array down ASAP and start hacking up the price of either silicon or glass. But, we'll see how realistic that is. Blues does eventually get to 2. He's a little bit slow starting with that food, which was very profitable, but of course costs a bunch of glass to make. And he also was miles away from the aluminum as well. But he does get the 2 steel mills down, but that's all the steel he'll have. Pretty much until if and when he gets slant drilling, but I don't imagine that he will get slant drilling.
No, and yeah, even with slant drilling, his adjacency bonus, he'll only get 1 from it because he can't make the triangle. The cliff's in the way.
Yeah, I mean he can do a little triangle on the eastern one, just down there. So there are possibilities, but let's say that's a big investment. Although chems have started at 40 and they're not really climbing, so it's not that big an investment.
Blues going for the medium elemental quarry, immediately ruining it.
Yep, making sure, and yeah, particularly a medium. Medium, of course, very, very vulnerable to nukes. If a medium gets nuked, it goes down to a trace, and you lose more than 1 point or more than 1 unit per second of production. YerAnd hits 3 and goes straight into that glass, and presumably we're going to see a 3rd one in that vacant tile as well.
Also like to point out that he has no goon squads on anything. Not his silicon, not his carbon, not his water.
And not his glass, which just got EMP'd. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's one way to do it, just because, well, A, you're a scavenger, and you're going to have the aggressive black market. You're incentivized to go for the aggressive black market instead because you get a reduced cooldown on that. But otherwise, like if you don't nuke if you don't goon anything, then Blues can't hit everything.
Right.
So you know, there's some value in that. I can respect that play.
Right. Although YerAnd will have a little bit of difficulty punishing the scientist with the black market.
Yeah, that's very true. The nukes
scientists don't really care about nukes.
Neither here nor there, really. I'm a little bit disappointed we didn't see any magnetic storms. Those aluminum shipments and those silicon shipments flying through the air. That would hurt if Blues didn't get those for a couple of rounds.
It would.
So Blues also in glass. He's seen the possibilities there with the glass colony, and yeah, like glass is already at 216, and that's the real price. There's nobody holding a stockpile there, so glass is really profitable right now.
Another second underground nuke on carbon. Blues does not want YerAnd to be able to upgrade, and this is where
my goodness,
the choosing not to goon something is questionable. Yep. Because sure, if YerAnd doesn't goon his silicon, that goes from a high to a low, but going from a low to a trace on carbon when carbon was never that good to begin with in this founding location, that
hurts a lot. That hurts a lot. And yeah, I mean, the other thing that's happening in this game as well, power's already up at 230, and actually fuel is already up at nearly 200 as well. So there are going to be some debt issues for somebody in this game, and possibly both players.
Trying to mitigate that by going to geotherm. He does have 67 in debt, but YerAnd is sitting at 80. YerAnd has the upgrade to 4 if he wants it.
Yeah, he does, and Blues is still quite a long way away. YerAnd gets the upgrade. Steel is still at 120, and Blues is still selling down steel.
Oh, so teleportation.
He's quite far behind.
This will be an interesting auction.
Oh my goodness. So how much is this worth, do we think?
A decent
fuel
amount.
Is at $212.
And
I would expect this to go into like the 30s or 40s, maybe even, 40s.
At least somewhere between, I'd say the 30s is my guess. We'll see how high they want to bid it up, because only the 24.
I mean, I guess the check on it is just that both players were in quite a lot of debt already. I think Blues had the lesser amount of debt, but it was still 75,000. And any more than that, or any more than he did pay, he would have dropped straight into that D level of debt. I mean, really, he's going to find it difficult to get out of it anytime soon with power at 280, and he doesn't really have much of a way to make power. He's got one geotherm, but that's it for now.
Blues is deciding that he doesn't need to get out of debt. He just needs to maintain his current debt position at C, which might be a little bit hard, but with teleportation, this means that Blues' somewhat awkward founding location with only 3 water, he doesn't care anymore.
Yeah, and YerAnd only now putting down the geotherm, so he's a little way behind on the debt. He's going to be a few more. Well, there's going to be quite a few more ticks of that debt before YerAnd starts getting any power at all. And he's really not far away from that D level of debt. And for a scavenger, particularly, a D level of debt is bad news, because you want to be using that black market basically on cooldown.
YerAnd's holding on to 1 goon squad and 1 mutiny.
So YerAnd now in that D level of debt. He can get out of it basically whenever he wants to. He's got enough cash to do that. But yeah, it's a difficult situation for him. Blues did take a big debt tick as well of 21,000, and he's teetering on the edge of that D levels of debt as well, but not quite there just yet. Building more steel as well, which is really profitable.
Right now, YerAnd has a slight advantage in cash of maybe, well, now it's only 10,000 lead as he continues to pay down some of that debt.
Yeah, Blues is making steel, which is, I think, closing that gap quite quickly. What was that? That was
mutiny battle for solar panels. YerAnd used the one he had stored and immediately bought a second to steal both solar panels from Blues, but Blues took one back.
Yep, so they are at different owners now, so no adjacency with the 2 of those, and that will hurt Blues quite a lot. YerAnd has the upgrade as well. I would imagine that he will take it. Is he scared about the big pile of cash that Blues has, which is crested 50k and is rising all the time? He is definitely out-earning YerAnd right now, and he also, I should note, has a patent lab which just got mutinied.
Stolen, right.
And YerAnd put a goon on it as well, so if he tries to take it back, he's gonna get a nasty surprise.
Both players deciding that they really want and need slant drilling, and with the low amount of silicon on the map and glass not lowering too much. I agree.
I think YerAnd I think there's probably enough silicon for the time being. I think the YerAnd's problem with slant, or with not having slant drilling, and he does get that mutiny from the goon that he puts down. So that's going to be probably his slant drilling, right?
Yes.
Blues doesn't have a cooldown.
He doesn't have a cooldown.
So he is going to get slant drilling, and the reason he wanted, I think, is because of the carbon. I think the nuked carbon has hurt him so much, and he can now actually get triangles of lows, which aren't amazing, but they're pretty good.
It'll be enough to power him to level 5.
Meanwhile, there's a big debt tick coming for YerAnd if he doesn't pay off this debt right now, and he doesn't look like he's going to. Oh dear, 47,000.
He does decide, instead of paying down the debt, to go into an Offworld.
Yep, and that probably is a good move. Offworld, not spectacularly good. The highest launch is 380 for fuel.
35k in profit there.
Yeah, and it's not tremendous, but it's nothing to sneeze at.
Each of those carbon tiles right now, despite being lows, earning YerAnd 120, 140 a second.
And the issue, honestly, that YerAnd has got at the moment is if he doesn't pay off this debt very soon, and yeah, Blues sees that, he sees the upgrade, and just goes immediately into YerAnd, freezes out all his stuff, and he is going to attack.
Right,
he's about 40k short at the moment.
And unfortunately, a lot of that 40k is tied up in this Offworld, which he just cancelled.
Yeah, he's had to cancel it, so good move from Blues, forcing the cancel. YerAnd does defend himself. I wonder if he knew about the Offworld. I wonder if he suspected about the Offworld. At least there was a carbon spike, so I wonder if he saw that.
Perhaps.
So food again. Scrubbing. Food is so the long-term advantage that Blues has is that YerAnd has to ship his water in, and it's okay for him to ship his water in, but Blues just gets the water for free from the farms, and that's really helping him a lot.
Mutinying and gooning the patent lab this time.
I missed that.
Wow. Just happened.
So second time, and that might be enough for YerAnd to claw this back. I don't know. He sold out of his stock so that he could put the Offworld down.
Right.
He really needs to wash this debt, though. 250k at the moment, and if he takes a debt tick right now, then that's going to be an 80k debt tick. He's going to be up to what, 330, and that debt's going up quite quickly as well.
YerAnd is deciding that he is going to go into the Game Slayer strategy of not caring about debt and just trying to out-earn the other player, so it doesn't matter. It's a very risky strategy, but at this case, in the game, I'm not sure what other strategy YerAnd has.
Well, it puts you on a serious clock, and certainly with the debt at his he did pay down a little bit just now. He's paying down a little bit more as well. Can he get to that sea level of debt? He's really trying to before the tick, but he's not going to manage it. He's going to take another D. And
56k.
56,000. He's back to 250,000 again. So all of that cash stockpile that he had completely wiped out by that debt tick.
Not to mention Blues had frozen YerAnd's water just to make that debt hurt even more with water at 140.
Yeah, and it locks YerAnd out of so many good markets. The food, the electronics for the the electrolysis for the oxygen as well, which is pretty good right now, and of course the fuel, which although it's only at $60, it is the Offworld launch. So there's a lot of value in that as well.
I believe YerAnd will be able to defend himself. Again, Blues just putting in some pressure right now.
Yeah,
doesn't really have a way to finish this by. YerAnd defends himself.
Yeah, I mean, I think Blues's priority right now is just to make sure that YerAnd is doing as much with his cash as possible that's not paying down debt. Because if he can keep that sort of spiral going, and YerAnd is teetering right on the brink of a huge spiral right now, then he's going to be in a really good situation as Blues, because he's certainly going to out-earn YerAnd in the long term with the scientific advantages he's got. But he's basically the only person that has any access at all to the life support markets. Certainly consistent access to it.
I'd like to point
if nothing else, because YerAnd has to claim 3 water tiles.
I like to point out that Blues has 2 patents right now, and these are the patents that he won on auction. He built that patent lab and has yet to successfully research a single patent from it.
Interesting. Yeah, that seems like an oversight. He did just mutiny away the Offworld.
Connecting up his electrolysis reactors, perhaps forgetting that he has teleportation and doesn't need to do that.
Yeah, I mean it looks pretty though, doesn't it? If you connect it,
I suppose.
That's pretty good. He did mutiny away the Offworld of YerAnd as well a moment ago. YerAnd, of course, in that D level of debt and not able to respond with a mutiny of his own. Although he does have thinking machines, so a little bit less painful, but still quite painful.
Yes. YerAnd is ahead of Blues by 20k.
Oh, this debt tick though. Oh, another 77,000.
The issue that YerAnd's going to suffer from right here is, sure, he has 30k more and rising in the amount of cash on hand over Blues, but Blues... If YerAnd were to start attacking Blues right now, which he does, I think Blues will be able to defend himself.
It's actually close. Blues just about has the money on hand right now to defend himself.
And yes, he does.
Yeah, he is going to get that. So Blues able to defend himself, and yeah, it's now like Blues is just trying to push this game as long as possible. That's all he can really do. Another mutiny on the off-world market. There's absolutely nothing YerAnd can do about it. He's in $333,000 of debt and has no access to the black market. So Blues pretty much on cooldown is just going to be able to mutiny that off-world away again and again and again, albeit only for a minute at a time.
Right, but that minute is where YerAnd is not earning any income from it, and that YerAnd desperately needs that income to win. YerAnd needs... Well, if he's going to do a shift quick buyout right now, 505k to buy all 10 of Blues stock, whereas Blues only needs an additional 269k to buy out YerAnd.
What just happened? Oh, he paid debt. That's what happened to all of his cash. So he's now only in 204,000 of debt. He's now in 210 because he paid 6,000 for water engine for some reason. I guess that's not bad because yeah, fuel is more expensive than water. He might make that back. Fuel is crashing though.
6,000, not too much. Gives him flexibility if Blues decides to do something silly with the fuel market or water market.
Yeah, very true. YerAnd really trying hard to get out of that D level of debt. He might make it by the end of today. Oh, he is! That's interesting. How's that happen then?
Blues was not in power, and power crept up, I suppose. Blues also is not in water, and water was decently high. So it's just, you know, just that gradual interest increases over time.
Just
both players are in, well, Blues is back in D, YerAnd is in C, so YerAnd now, for the first time in a long time, has that black market advantage. But Blues with a significant stock advantage.
Yeah, getting very aggressive. He just made a bunch of money from an iron hack that he did just now. YerAnd trying to hack glass himself, but doesn't have the cash stockpile to make that work. YerAnd did only take a C debt tick that time, so 34,000 rather than anything that was going to be too painful for him.
And stays in C, where Blues goes further into D debt.
Yeah, he does, but again, Blues, with all of that cash in YerAnd right now, he's actually only, what, 150,000 or so short of the buy.
And Blues somehow has YerAnd's Offworld, despite YerAnd being in... I guess YerAnd's mutiny is 30k, which is quite expensive.
Yeah, Blues has just been buying mutinies basically on cooldown. That creeps the price up even for the other person in a two-player game.
YerAnd does put that goon down this time. Blues puts down a spy to confirm before wasting a 50k goon.
Yeah, it was a really cheap goon. What, 12,000 or whatever it was for YerAnd.
Unfortunately, even though YerAnd has this thinking machines Offworld, I don't think it's going to be enough at this point. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
I mean, he doesn't need very much. He is only 150k short. Although, I mean, his revenue streams have kind of fallen off a little bit. He was reliant on the life support markets to make significant profits, but they've kind of died a little bit. So
still making
not a whole lot.
600 to 7 a second off of his 3 electrolysis reactors. So if he switches those greenhouse farms, perhaps, to electrolysis, that might be enough to push him over the edge.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he's relying mainly on hacks at the moment. Again, hacking that iron just to try and make his big pile of money a little bit bigger. But YerAnd has that Offworld, and that Offworld's going to stay up now. It's going to be his pretty much for the duration.
The only issue
and that's
is
making 46,000 a launch.
It is making 46,000 a launch. Just the problem is YerAnd needs 657k to buy out Blues, where Blues only needs 300k to buy out YerAnd. Only
absolutely. Yeah, Blues
more.
Yeah, if we look at the amount of cash that both players needs, Blues needs $120,000 more to buy out YerAnd, and YerAnd needs basically $500,000. So it's a big hill to climb for YerAnd. But again, Blues isn't making very much money right now.
No, and YerAnd, Blues just
and he's paying off his debt.
Blues just went to have 60% on YerAnd, now down to 33. So
yeah, that's because he paid off his debt. He paid off like 40 or 50,000 of debt there.
Blues is also building an Offworld, not confident that his cash advantage on YerAnd will be enough to win.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's struggling to make money. I mean, that's his basic problem. He is hacking for all he's worth, but those hacks only go so far. Like he's going to be able to get a bunch into this. Oh, YerAnd's hacking glass. He's going to be able to get a bunch into this steel, but again, it's not going to be a huge amount. He's only got 140k in cash and resources, so he can put all of that into steel and make a little bit of money, but it's not gonna do a huge amount for him.
No, in Blues' favor, Blues still has a 3 stock tick advantage in YerAnd, although YerAnd is closing the gap.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, he's making a lot more money than Blues is at the moment.
Prices, the share prices are roughly the same, and YerAnd, although this advantage will disappear when he purchases 2 more ticks of Blues stock, will be about equal.
Yeah, and as
cash on hand.
And Blues is actually getting further away from the buy on YerAnd as well. He's now 300k away. He did put down, that's why, he put down the Offworld?
Yes.
When did he put that down?
I mentioned that about a minute ago, or 90 seconds ago, when it started building.
So he does have that as well, so that's a little bit. Blues again defensively buying his own stock, and I wonder if he thinks he has a long-term advantage here, because that's the only world in which that makes sense.
In general, the scientist does have a long-term advantage over the scavenger, but in this particular situation, I'm not entirely sure. These hacks are making it a little bit difficult to figure out who has the advantage over who.
It's really close. There aren't going to be any more off-worlds for YerAnd, because he's not making any carbon at all, and they cost nearly 200k, so I wonder if Blues is seeing his win condition as building a second Offworld.
Perhaps. Blues just nuked
He's saving up a lot of steel.
Water. Now we're going to have some black market battles, and this is where YerAnd should win them, not only with thinking machines, but also with that aggressive cooldown timer.
Yep, absolutely. A couple of tools on the black market. There's EMPs and mutinies. YerAnd has a mutiny saved up. Is he going to goon the Offworld again as soon as he mutinies it away? Wonder if he'll do that. There it is. Puts the goon down.
This.
Oh no! And then donate the EMP.
Right. The Blues has fallen for that trick. What, twice now?
Yeah, twice this game. And always painful when it happens to you.
Right now, YerAnd has about a 10%. I'm sorry, Blues is about a 10% advantage, as we can see on the stock ticker.
His advantage is
has two Offworlds, so he's going to close the gap, making for a much more exciting finish. We might think
So the
Blues is
Mutiny
going
comes
to
down
pay
again, immediately responds with an EMP.
60k for that mutiny, only to have it immediately EMP'd.
So Blues, I think now, I don't know, Blues is still slightly ahead. He's about 70k ahead. And Blues does have that second Offworld going up. Yes, he does. So right on the corner there, not even bothering to hologram it, just saying, "Hey, here's my Offworld. Do with it what you will."
Right, and this is where Blues, since Blues has the advantage in the series, Blues can afford to make a little bit more of a long-term game. He'd like to win the game here and now. He'd rather not do it on a 1v1 Offworld race, but if he turns it into a 2v1, it can last long enough.
Yeah, it's and just that earnings advantage, because there's not a whole lot of money to be made on World anymore. Water is really where it's at, it seems, and YerAnd has that down. But then electronics as well. So I mean, yeah, there's not a whole lot of money to be made on World. Offworld is really your source of income at this point in the game. We're at Sol 10, nearly Sol 11 now, and they're making 50k a launch.
YerAnd has 5 tiles that are turned off, not doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, the reason they're turned off is because he's making so much money from the water.
Right.
But is he hacking as well, or was that a natural water shortage?
I'm not sure. Now he's hacking.
It was a hack.
Carbon.
That was a hack. That was a hack. So
I will point out that right now YerAnd has the slight advantage.
Yep, he's in the lead.
More money, more cash on hand to the tune of 1, or is it 2? Well, launches have crept up and I haven't noticed. So he has 1 launch advantage on Blues.
Yeah, it's really close actually. Blues has the 2 Offworlds. YerAnd has the 1 Offworld, but is making full use of that water monopoly that he had, and the hacking situation as well. It's really close.
Going
Blues
for a mutiny goon once again.
Yep. Is Blues going to fall for this one? Well, mutinies are 130k right now, so he's not going to mutiny it back.
He isn't. Blues all of a sudden jumps to having 300k cash on hand thanks to this hack. These hacks that are flying back and forth. Blues hacking steel. YerAnd was hacking carbon, but currently is not hacking anything.
The black market is online.
Yeah, and I wonder, I mean, how close are we now? Blues 130 away. So he's got control of 1 Offworld right now. His next launch is in 5 seconds. So that's going to jump a bit more, and suddenly we're getting very close. But YerAnd again with those launches, really close as well.
This game is coming down to the wire. It looked like Blues had it. YerAnd was able to claw himself back into it, and we are almost equal right now.
Both players at 90%. It's going to come down to launch timings, I think. The next launch is YerAnd's launch in 30 seconds, but Blues again has the 5% advantage. He is very close. He's almost there. Does he know he's almost there? He sells everything down. He's 10k short. YerAnd, what did YerAnd just do? He lost a bunch of money from somewhere. Oh, his money was in something, and he lost a bunch of it. So Blues, I think, is going to
buy and takes it.
There it is. So
wow, what
Blues
a game!
Takes the series. That was a really good final game. I'm glad the final game was really close. Came down to just a few thousand in the end. Blues able to get the buy after selling everything down, and basically dissolving YerAnd's pile of cash that was in his resources. So Blues takes it. Blues wins the 1v1 Offworld tournament. He took the final 3 games to nothing. Did he drop a game in the knockout stages?
No. I believe in this final... Oh. In this elimination round, I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look at YerAnd versus Polina again, but I'm not sure that anybody who's won and advanced has lost a single game.
Yeah, wow. So sweeps all the way. And I mean, I guess this one felt a bit more like a series. I guess with it being best of 5, like it felt like it was back and forth. It felt like it was sort of oscillating between the two players at times. It didn't feel like any of the games really were a walkover. And I guess that's what you would expect from a final. These are the two best players that have advanced through the tournament. So relatively evenly matched, but Blues just eking out those really small advantages that got him the wins. And certainly that last game was a really good demonstration of like a very good macro game sense that Blues has, just recognizing what his win condition is, building those two off-worlds, even though they were prohibitively expensive, and taking the win with it.
Mm-hmm. One thing I'd be interested is if either the players had decided to research financial instruments. Both players are in D debt. C debt.
Yeah,
so
wow.
Long. If YerAnd had been able to mutiny that patent lab one more time and get
they both
financial instruments.
They both had patent lab, or they both had access to patents, certainly. And yeah, that would have been a very high value financial instruments with the way the game was going.
Blues did finally use his patent lab to research one patent, getting nanotechnology, carbon scrubbing, and teleportation were from auctions.
Hang on, did he deleted a bunch of his buildings? I wonder, that took him right over the edge, right? That was what
that must have been how I missed that.
Yeah, I missed that at the time as well. But yeah, there we go. Anyway, a fantastic series and a fantastic tournament all round. It's been really, really enjoyable to cast and to watch these guys in action. And congratulations to Blues, the best 1v1 player that we have for the moment, at least until the next tournament.
Which probably won't happen until January, I'm sure.
So there you go. He's going to end 2016 as the best 1v1 off-world player.
Yes, Blues confirming in chat that nanoteching the farms got the last little bit that he needed to win the game.
Yep, I wondered about that. He also said the farm start was wrong, and I was wondering about that at the time. It was like conditions seemed to be quite good for it. Like there were glass was low, food was obviously high, but I guess just the fact that the steel was like $60 and a little bit painful.
Yes, YerAnd had at that point had two choices. He could have bought into the aluminum, which I believe is what YerAnd did, if I'm remembering correctly, or he could have bought into the steel. Maybe that's why that found was a little bit risky. YerAnd did buy into steel. It might have been a more painful upgrade for Blues.
Yeah, I think that's right. And he was low 90s. YerAnd was low 90s, which yeah, I mean that's a really close game. When that happens, when both players are in the 90s, that's a really close game. Can come down to launch timings at that point.